by our YouTube channel. Head over to the Feelings Over Facts YouTube channel and give us a subscribe and a like. Welcome in to the Feelings Over Facts podcast. I'm your co-host, Zach Simmons. Here is my co-host, Daniel Jones, a.k.a. DJ. DJ, how are you feeling?
Feeling pretty good. How about you, my good sir?
Doing well. Can't complain, mostly because I'm not a Purdue fan. So not a lot to complain about at the current moment, unless you are a Purdue fan and you got thoroughly beat by the undisputed best team in the country, UConn. Congrats to them on winning the national championship.
Indeed.
It was pretty entertaining, I will say.
It was, and it turned into a little bit of a blowout there at the end, didn't it?
It did indeed. The best team all year won. Best team the last 2 years. So congrats to UConn for taking home the national championship. We'll see if they can three-peat next year. That would be something else, for sure. But thank you everyone for joining us once again to the Feelings Over Facts podcast. If you're not yet subscribed to our YouTube channel, head over there and give us a subscribe, as well as our Instagram and TikTok. We post lots of fun shorts on there, as well as content on YouTube, and as well as we post our regular podcast over on Spotify each week. All right, let's go ahead and get right into it. We got a packed show today, spanning over 3 different sports. We are to the time in the sports season, DJ, where we're talking 3 sports in one podcast. So it's a great time to, it's a great time to be alive.
It's a great time to be a sports fan. Let's be honest. We're kind of spoiled.
We are indeed. All right. What missed today's show? Terrell Suggs is arrested for pulling a gun on a man in a Starbucks earlier today. John Calipari is hired to be the coach of the Arkansas Razorbacks. So the Kentucky job is now open. I've heard a lot of people want the coach, that woman's coach for South Carolina, to get the job. I think that would be pretty fun if that happened. And then Josh Allen, defensive end for the Jacksonville Jaguars, signs $150 million contract extension. Good day to be Mr. Josh Allen. All right, that is what missed today's show. So let's go ahead and get right in to the show. All right. The NBA regular season is coming to a close. There are only a handful of games. Most teams only have about 3 to 4 games left in the regular season, which means that the NBA playoffs are soon to start. A long, grueling NBA playoffs with the full of lots of fun 7-game series I am expecting. So with that about to get kicked off here soon in the next, I believe the NBA playoffs start. I guess the play-in starts in, I think, 10 days. So I kind of count that as the playoffs, as that's pretty much like a win or go home type environment as well. So we can count that as the playoffs. So with the playoffs and the play-in starting soon, I wanted us to kind of go over the standings and kind of give out who is our favorite, who we can kind of who we really truly feel is gonna win it maybe we can have a couple of those, as well as a dark horse that not a lot of people could think could win it, but we could see taking home the what is it, the Larry O'Brien? Isn't that that's the trophy for
Larry
the NBA?
B.
Larry OB. All right, DJ, you go. You want me to kind of give a rundown of the standings before we go into our favorites and our dark horse?
Let's, because there might be some non-NBA fans here, and maybe this is the first time they've seen the NBA standings this season.
It might. Let me go. I'm getting my YouTube chat pulled up here in case we get any messages in there. All right. Let's go ahead and go through the Eastern Conference. At the current moment, the Boston Celtics are in first place by just the widest of margins. They have absolutely destroyed this Eastern Conference. They're in first place by 14 games. The next closest team to them is 14 games back, the Milwaukee Bucks, who are currently in second. So an absolutely just spectacular regular season for the Boston Celtics that they put out. Very, very impressive. They're 15-1 in their division, 35-3 on their home court, which is just mind-boggling. How good the Boston Celtics have been. They're putting up historic winning margins. Just incredible Boston Celtics. Then you've got the number 2 seed Milwaukee Bucks, who have been pretty poor as of lately. They're 4-6 in their last 10, which is not what the energy that you want going into the playoffs, especially with their star player Giannis getting hurt last night. Thankfully,
Missed the Achilles though. So
yeah, exactly. Thankfully, coming back, the medicals say he has not torn his Achilles, which is what it looked like. So that's good for them. Hopefully, he can come back quick because they're probably going to need him back here soon. In third, New York Knicks. Fourth, Orlando Magic. Shout out!
What
Orlando.
a surprise that is! Yes,
they were. What was it? 2 years ago, they had the number 1 pick and took Banchero, and now they're all the way up to the number 4 seed in the East. So, a pretty spectacular turnaround for them. Banchero and Franz Wagner have been just a revelation there, killing it there in Florida. Number 5, Cleveland Cavaliers. Number 6, Indiana Pacers, the in-season tournament runners-up. Number 7, Philadelphia 76ers, a team that I think a lot of people expected to be a lot higher up, but because of the Embiid injury, are down at number 7. Number 8, Miami Heat. Number 9, Chicago Bulls. And number 10, the Atlanta Hawks. And those are going to be the 10 teams that are in the playoff/play-in because everyone else has mathematically been eliminated. So that is the Eastern Conference. Let me quickly run through the Western Conference as well. Right now, we have it's a tie in record, Timberwolves and Nuggets for the number 1 seed, but Timberwolves have the tiebreaker. So they are the number 1 seed at the current moment, and they play tonight as well on TNT. So that'll be a huge game for
ESPN.
Timberwolves. ESPN, sorry. Timberwolves versus Denver Nuggets tonight will be, whoever wins that will be in the number 1 seed. So 1 and 2 there. Oklahoma City Thunder in third. LA Clippers in fourth. Dallas Mavericks having a good bounce back year after missing the play-in entirely last year. Kyrie and Luka are finally figuring out how to play together. New Orleans Pelicans are in the 6th seed, and then all of the rest, 6 through 10 in the West, is extremely tight. It's all within 3 games of each other with those 5 seeds. So 6 is New Orleans Pelicans, 7 Phoenix Suns, 8 Sacramento Kings, 9 Los Angeles Lakers, 10 Golden State Warriors. And it is the same situation as the East, where those are the 10 teams that are going to be in the playoff/play-in. The other remaining 5 teams in the West are eliminated mathematically. So that is our rundown of our playoff standings. DJ, I've been yabbing for a little while. So why don't you go ahead and take it away with who you currently have as your favorite, and also who you could see as like a dark horse that could potentially take home the old Larry OB.
Well, if we're talking favorites, I don't remember what I had at the beginning of the season prediction, but as of right now, I'm going. It's going to be kind of boring. I'm going with the Nuggets to repeat to get to the finals in the West, and I have the Celtics making it to the finals again in the East. Both teams have looked phenomenal this season. They've had their star players play like star players, and they have stuck together. They've stayed relatively healthy, which is very important. I mean, whenever they weren't healthy, they had some big, role players step up. Like how many big Derek White games did we see happen this year, which has been impressive. What a steal of a pickup that's been, and part of the reason why we were allowed to let Marcus Smart walk to Memphis. So those would be my favorites. Now, picking a dark horse in the NBA playoffs is kind of tough because the seeding's usually pretty on point. And for the East, I'm not going to say the Sixers because I think that's low-hanging fruit. I think the dark horse is the Orlando Magic. I know they're fourth, but hear me out. They're such a young team, no one's going to expect them to be able to make a run because they haven't been there before. They haven't done it. That franchise has done a pretty good job of, finally getting some young talent that can work around each other. I feel like they've been picking in the top 10 for the last 7-8 years. I feel like, and I don't know that specifically the number, but if that is a number, but it is impressive that they have a very deep young team, and I feel like they're one or two shooters away from being a legitimate contender. But this year, I think that if they get hot and they play well together and they're young and they're excited. And, ignorance is bliss. You've never been there before. Why not just go win the whole thing? I'm not saying they're going to win the whole thing, but this is a dark horse for sure. Kind of pulling this one out of left field. And then my dark horse in the West. I don't know if you really call it a dark horse, but watch out for Golden State. And if you watched the game last night against the Lakers, if you're a team in the West, you don't want to play either the Lakers or the Warriors. This is going to be a tough playoff in the West, regardless. But those teams being
over 43s last night and shot 63%. They shot the best 3-point percentage for a team that shot over 43s in NBA history. It's not an understatement to say they had the greatest shooting night in NBA history last night.
Yes, they did. I mean, it's crazy when Draymond Green's 5 for 5 at halftime from 3-point, the 3-point line. That I haven't seen that ever happen.
Lakers, and you see that happen, and you just know, okay, maybe it's just not
our night.
It's just their day.
Yes, and then Klay Thompson's, he's been kind of rough this year, but I feel like he's starting to heat up at the right time, and that's dangerous if you're one of these higher seeds going up against Golden State. Because of the playing games, which I once again do not like. And I've said this before on the podcast, I feel like I'm not a fan of the playing games. Just keep the regular 8 playoff spots and just go from there. I know it's a money-based decision, but as a fan of the NBA, I really could not care less about the playing game. Okay, some pleb team could maybe get into the playoffs and get smacked around by the 1 seed. Cool.
Yeah.
I'm mainly talking about the East. The West is still pretty deep, so as it always is.
Yeah.
But yeah, if I'm anybody in the Western Conference, I would not want to play either the Lakers or the Warriors in that first round. That would be so tough. And you talked about it last week about playoff, the playoffs is a 1 seed. You don't want to how unfair it would be to play. You were talking about the 76ers. I think it's ridiculously even more tough based on how they're playing right now because the Warriors and the Warriors and Lakers have been on fire for it seems like the last month. Just absolutely
since the All-Star break, they have 2 of the best records in the NBA.
Yeah, and they're hitting their stride. They're veteran teams that know how to win in the playoffs, and that experience is super important. And I don't feel like people talk about it as much when you go through the NBA playoffs. If you do a bracket style like that, kind of like a March Madness bracket for the NBA playoffs, which I'm sure we will do. But yeah, that's my dark horse. It's dark horse is kind of harder in the West because I do feel like teams 1 through exclude the Pelicans and the Suns because I don't think they're going to do anything. But pretty much every team besides the Suns, Pelicans, and Kings, I could see going to making a run. That's just just how I see it.
Yeah, a lot of good teams out in the Western Conference. I like it. As far as me, my favorites, I mean, if you're if you're saying anyone except for the Celtics, there's let me say it like this: there's no logical reason to take anyone except for the Celtics or the Nuggets to win their respective conferences. In my opinion, they are head and shoulders better than the rest of the field. Nobody. I mean, you're going to hear me say this multiple times throughout the NBA playoffs, but nobody's beaten Denver in a 7-game series. I think that they're going to run it back. They're going as long as Murray is healthy. He's been injured and in and out of the lineup here the last few months, and they've kind of actually struggled a little bit while in the times that he has been out because he's such a like on nights when Jokic doesn't have it, which is few and far between, honestly. He's able to make some tough shots. He's a guy who can get his own shot. He isn't reliant on other people because he's such a great shot creator and tough shot maker. We saw that last year in the NBA playoffs. He was an instrumental part in why they won the NBA championship. So that's my pick. I mean, the Denver Nuggets they're not losing a 7-game series if they stay healthy. On the Eastern Conference side, I think it's a little bit more open. I think that because of their previous playoff woes that Celtics got even with having such a great regular season record, they don't instill a ton of confidence in my mind, even though they've been so great this season. I mean, if Giannis can come back and he's healthy and they got Giannis and Dame, the Bucks could certainly win the East in my opinion. That's who I picked before the season started. My pick was Denver versus Milwaukee. So I think I'm gonna stick with them in the Eastern Conference side, assuming Giannis isn't out for a considerable amount of time. As far as my dark horse, I don't think it's low hanging fruit to take the Philadelphia 76ers as a dark horse to win the NBA championship. And here's why. Because they're most likely going to be in the play-in tournament, and they're most likely going to be facing well, if they're in the play-in tournament, which they look like they're going to be, I don't think they're going to take over Indiana's spot in the 6th seed. They're going to be facing Milwaukee or Boston in the first round. So their first round matchup is going to be one of the best teams in the NBA. So they're going to have if they're going to win the NBA championship, they're most likely going to have to go through both Milwaukee and Boston to get there. Whereas other teams are not. So I think that they're extremely a dark horse at the current moment. But I think, they're on a 6-game winning streak. Let me check here. I believe they're on the longest winning streak in the NBA at the current. Oh my gosh, the Jazz have lost 13 in a row. Goodness gracious. The Philadelphia 76ers, longest winning streak in the NBA. They've been extremely hot since Embiid has come back. Maxey has developed into a legit certified star in the NBA. He's putting up pretty amazing numbers. So I think that the Sixers are a fantastic dark horse shot to definitely win the East and even potentially win the NBA championship. But not the NBA championship because like I said, nobody's beating Denver in a 7-game series. So that is, and then as far as the West, I think you're kind of left out, in my opinion, the Mavericks. I think with that 1-2 punch of Luka and Kyrie, I know you said pretty much anybody in the West could make a run, but I think that the Mavericks definitely deserve a shout out because the way that Kyrie and Luka are playing together right now, the tough shot making that they've been putting together, they're 9-1 in their last 10. They're going to be facing the Clippers in round 1, who most likely won't have Kawhi because they never have Kawhi, and they're going to breeze through that first round matchup. So I really like the Mavericks as a dark horse shout as well to take home the NBA championship. So there is our NBA playoff standings, our favorites, our dark horses. Anything more to add regarding the NBA and the current
outlook? Yes, we have breaking news. An extension has been signed. The mighty Boston Celtics have extended Drew Holiday 4 years, $135 million to stay in Boston.
That is a good chunk of change right there.
I would not mind that contract.
I mean, if not one of the best wing defenders in the NBA, Drew Holiday, one of the biggest like instrumental cogs in the reason that the Milwaukee Bucks won their NBA championship a few years ago was Drew Holiday. So, I mean, if the Celtics are going to win a championship and they're going to continue to be in contention, I think that they are on the right mindset keeping him around.
I don't hate it. I thought it was a great pickup last year, and it's also another reason why we were able to get rid of Marcus Smart. And I think he has a little bit more higher upside on the offensive side of the ball whenever he's needed. He doesn't have to be the number one option, but he can go out and get his points. Shad is saying they hooping, and I think he's talking about the Mavericks because he says Mavs versus Lakers in conference finals if that's possible. Love that we don't know if it's possible, but I love the confidence to say out loud. Shady Too Cold.
That is for sure possible because the Lakers are either going to be the 7 or 8 seed and they're going to face the 1 or 2 in the first round. So if let's say the Lakers get the 8 seed and they face, I don't know, Minnesota Minnesota gets the 1 seed or Denver let's say Minnesota because I don't think they're beating Denver. Then they beat Minnesota. Then the Clippers are going to be in the 4 or 5. They beat on either way. They could face them if they both keep winning. They're going to face them in the conference finals or sooner. So it's definitely possible.
Well, there you go. That's one of our takes that all of you can say if you subscribe and join live on YouTube.
There you go. All right. I like the breaking news. We're breaking news here on the Feelings Over Facts podcast. All right, there is our NBA segment. Now it is time to transition to a segment and a sport that we have not really talked about much at all here on the Feelings Over Facts podcast, and that is hockey and the NHL. As the NHL playoffs are about to start, I'm going to be leaning heavily on DJ and his insightfulness here in this segment. I'm willing to be educated and learn because outside of the Nashville Predators, who is both of our favorite teams because we're from there, I don't have a lot of NHL knowledge. So we're going to talk about the NHL playoffs, kind of how things are looking with that. Teams we're looking forward to seeing in the NHL playoffs. And what I'm gonna go ahead and go first, and then I'll let you kind of take it home, DJ.
Okay.
Is besides, I'm gonna put a caveat. Besides the Predators, obviously, I'm excited to watch the Predators in playoffs because we haven't had them. We didn't have them last year there, so excited to see them back in the playoffs and see what they can do. But a team that I am looking forward to watching is, and I don't know if this is like one of your like hated teams or not, so I'm sorry if it is. I'm excited to watch the Edmonton Oilers because I was doing some research for the podcast, and they've already clinched the playoffs. So I wanted to make sure I didn't reference a team that wasn't going to be in the playoffs. They're going to be in there, and they have the so-called best player in the world on their team. And I am always interested in watching greatness. And if Mr. McDavid is so great, I am very interested in watching him play in the NHL playoffs. The Edmonton Oilers have the 4th highest odds to lift the Stanley Cup. So I'm excited to watch them play to see what Mr. McDavid can do. They are going to be I'm not sure how the seeding works. They've already clinched the playoffs.
It's based. So wait, do you have the standings up? Do you have the standings up?
I do. Yeah.
Okay, it's based on the points. Do you see the points? It's like in the Premier League.
It says they're the 2
in the Pacific.
In the Pacific, yeah.
So they are going to be probably the 5th. I want to say yes. Then the season's still not over yet, so they could jump
Yeah,
Winnipeg.
there's what, like 3 or 4 games left, right? Kind of like the NBA.
3, yes. Yeah, it should end this weekend. Except there's no dumb playing thing. It's the top 8 seeds, and we're going.
Right.
No, that's not a bad shout.
There you go. That's my that's my NHL take there.
Okay. Do you have one for the Eastern Conference? Just asking. If you don't, it's cool.
I don't, but I'm sure I can have one. I want to see the Bruins lose in the first round.
That's fair.
One.
All right.
I'd love to see that because Boston sports fans are too
spoiled.
They're too spoiled. I would love to see them win or lose in the first round.
They got knocked out in the first round last year, which was hilarious. So
yeah,
it's not out of the realm of possibility.
And then I also kind of like rooting for like smaller market teams. So seeing the Carolina Hurricane run it back again and because they made it to the final last year, right?
Yeah, they played
the Panthers, I believe. No,
they can't play the Panthers, and they're in the East.
Oh, you're right. I don't know who they faced, but I feel like they were in the final last year, or maybe the Panthers are in the final. I don't know.
Why am I forgetting?
I think that I like rooting for smaller market teams. So Eastern Conference, I'm rooting for Boston to lose first round. I would love to see that, and then Carolina if they could win.
It was Vegas. Vegas won. They beat the Panthers.
Okay,
that's who it was.
Panthers. All right.
I don't know why I just went full brain dead mode, but I could not think of who was in the. All right. Anyway. By the way, the Hurricane, I put before last season started, I put a little bit of a wager on them to win it last year. Mm-hmm. And they didn't do what I thought they were going to do. I like their team. I like a lot of their players. Sebastian Aho is an outstanding scorer and guy just gets the puck around. Now, going back to your Edmonton take. Okay. I mean, it's Connor McDavid's a great player. Also, let's get some love to Leon Draisaitl, probably the best 1-2 punch in the NHL at the current moment. The thing I don't like about Edmonton is they have no goaltending and their depth is crap.
Okay.
And when it comes to goaltending, which I think you're going to... This is the reason why I think you would actually love hockey, Zach. Because, as a joke, I said earlier in a group chat that Zach loves expected goals. As a joke. There's a lot of stuff like that in the NHL. There's a lot of big statistical stuff. So I feel like if Zach really delve into the statistics...
I love data-driven analysis.
So if he really got himself into the grunt of statistical analysis in the NHL statistics, he would fall in love with the sport. It's great for that. So looking at team, so you said were the Edmonton Oilers one of the teams that I dislike. I don't hate them. It's always fun to watch Connor McDavid play hockey. I mean, the guy literally floats on ice. It's insane. Yeah. As long as if they're in the Central Division in the Western Conference, then I hate them. There's no mince word. Yes, that's the Predators division. Yes. Okay. And I have a reason to hate, and also unless you're the Ducks, I hate the Ducks too. Screw the Ducks.
Gotcha. But the Ducks suck. So
yes. Also the Penguins. Also screw the Penguins.
Yes.
Anyway. So I'll talk about team. Some teams I'm excited to see in the playoffs. Carolina. Like I was saying earlier, big fan of Aho. Massive player. I think it's really easy to also say that I'm excited to watch Toronto. Austin Matthews, he's absolutely killing it in goals. And I don't know if you looked up the goal leaders right now, Zach. He has 66 goals. He is leading the NHL in goals right now. Man's absolutely on fire. Second has 53.
Dang, he's balling out.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure, and I haven't looked. I'm pretty sure the Predators' leading scorer is Forsberg, and he's got 40, and 40 is a fantastic season. Like, it's not something. So he's playing in a single season. Forsberg has 43, so that's what I thought. I would have to look that up. I honestly don't know that off the top of my head at the moment.
I can look it up.
Look it up? Okay. So, I mean, it's also fun to see if the Maple Leafs...
Right? Sure, it's Gretzky, right? Probably.
That's a pretty good shout, but I mean, I'm sure that Ovechkin or Crosby maybe got close to it, but I'm not sure. What is it?
Gretzky scored 92. in 81-82. It's one season.
Oh, okay, well there you go.
So he's not gonna get.
Not many people earn the nickname the Great One, and there's a reason why Wayne Gretzky got that nickname. Let's just be honest here. But like I was saying, it's always fun to see what Toronto is going to do. That fan base is so passionate, and they are they want so much what they can't have, which is a Stanley Cup, and they haven't really lived up to that billing. And I feel like comparable, like the Toronto Maple Leafs job is kind of like comparable to like Man United. You really you can't fail at that job. You have to always be succeeding, always be pushing towards a Stanley Cup playoffs, especially with how the ownership has worked and how the fan base is. It's such a massive fan base. They kind of have to always be looking forward, and they haven't done that in the playoffs. So them having one of the best goal scorers in the league, it's going to be tough. I mean, that the East is not going to be easy. You know, you got the Rangers, you got Florida's still back up there. I'm sure Boston's looking for redemption next year. And also, how unfair is it that the Tampa Bay Lightning, who are always just that constant, it feels like in the Eastern Conference, is a wild card team, along with possibly either Pittsburgh, Detroit, or Washington in the wild card.
Yeah, as well as I feel like Golden Knights are good every single year, and they're in the wild card too.
Wrong side.
Okay, well, but they are in the wild card, just on the
yes, that's the defending champ, and they're a wild card team.
Yeah,
you're beating me a little bit to it, but yes, going to the West, I'm going to stay away from talking about the Preds at the moment because I think we could get on a really off tangent at talking about them. Non-Predator team I'm looking for, even though they're one of the hottest teams in the NHL at one point this season. It was awesome to watch. I actually think I took a screenshot of this.
Mm-hmm.
And it's the odds of what the Predators making the playoffs was around Christmas.
Okay.
Or no, is it the All-Star break? I forgot what it was. It was at 20.9%.
Wow. And now they've clinched it.
They clinched it. They clinched it last night with a draw or the overtime loss, which if you don't know in hockey, if you lose in overtime, you still get a point. It's kind of like a draw in soccer.
Yeah.
And you only get 2 points for a win. I don't know if you knew that.
I actually did, yeah.
Okay, cool. So teams I'm looking forward to. Edmonton's a good shout. Winnipeg last night, and yes, I just said I don't like any teams in the Central because they're rivals against my team. But right. Based on how Connor Hellebuyck played last night, yes. Based on how Hellebuyck played last night, the guy played unbelievably. The biggest thing in the NHL is goaltending, especially in the playoffs. If your goalie comes into the playoffs and he's hot, you have a very good chance of making a run. And the great thing about the NHL playoffs is it doesn't matter what seed you are. We've seen an 8 seed versus an 8 seed in the Stanley Cup final before. It is possible. Teams can get hot. It's one of those games where if you're flowing, you're flowing. And it's hard to. I love watching good goaltenders, and that's just what Connor Hellebuyck has been, and that's why he's one of the higher paid goalies in the league. So it's going to be interesting to see. Hopefully, Saros does the same thing for the Preds because.
Who's your non-Preds pick to win it right now?
Non-Preds pick to win in the West?
Sure.
Probably Dallas.
Dallas
has been impressive this year. I don't trust Edmonton to do anything in the playoffs because that's kind of their stigma as well. Mm-hmm. Until we know exactly where LA and Vegas is going to be in the playoffs, I'm not going to say per se who's got what, because that's still a tight race for that last wild card / third playoff spot, and that does matter.
Also, the Blues aren't knocked out of it yet. They could jump.
They could. They have to win.
They could beat Vegas out for the wild card.
They have to win out, and then they need Vegas to pretty much lose out. Not impossible, but. Mm-hmm. They just need some. They don't have it all under their wing, which is great. Reason why it was so big for the Preds to clinch last night. And especially being down 3-1 going into the third, coming out and and bringing it back. I thought we were going to win it there for a minute, and it was awesome. But I mean, Dallas is looking good, but you can't ever count out Colorado. I mean, Colorado won a Stanley Cup not too long ago as well, and there's a reason for that as well. They have one of the best defenders in Cale Makar. I mean, McKinnon is still there. Their team's just really solid. You can't ever. It's unfortunately a great organization, and and let's see how goaltending holds up for them. I think that might be kind of a question mark for me personally, but I haven't watched a lot of Avs games this year. I've just kind of kept up with how they've done in the standings. A little bit of a surprise that they weren't the outright one seed, but then again, it's the NHL and anything can happen in the regular season. So I'm interested to see how Vancouver does. Them being the one seed in the West Pacific was, I wouldn't have guessed it at the beginning of the season. I probably would have said Vegas would have been the number one, but I feel like Vegas has been dealing with so many injuries this year, and so the fact that they're in the playoffs and kind of a wild card is dangerous. So keep an eye on that.
Okay, there we go. My non-Predators pick to win it all. I'm gonna go with Edmonton. They had the fourth highest odds. They have the best player in the world, supposedly. I think this is their year. I think they're gonna get it done. But if I'm picking someone besides the Preds. There we go. There is our NHL playoffs. Teams we're looking forward to see break down going into the playoffs. All right. Finally, on to our last segment. DJ, can you hear the birds chirping? Can you see the azalea flowers blooming? It's that time of year again. It's a Masters week, the best week in golf every year.
Hello, friends.
Yes, hello, friend. If you can't tell, I'm very excited about it. We're both big golfers. We both love to play golf. We follow. I guess I won't speak for DJ, but I follow golfers pretty well, and I know DJ does as well. So we are going to go through and give our Masters preview, our pick to win the entire thing. I went first on the NHL, so I'll let you go ahead and go first here with your Masters pick, DJ. So,
okay,
give me who you think's winning, and any other feelings about this tournament in general.
I mean, let's just talk about how great the Masters is. I mean, I think any sports fan, I'm talking about not specifically a fan of just one sport, just loves sports in general, like you and I do, like many of our listeners do. The Masters, this may be the one golf tournament that anybody watches all year long because it's that big of a deal.
That's true.
I love it. I want to go to Augusta National so bad. That'd be such a bucket list. Not even to play. I'm just talking about just standing there and looking at it. Like I could not bring my clubs at all. I could just walk Augusta National and I'd probably die pretty happy, man. I got to see an Augusta National in my own eyes. Playing it, let alone, would be also insane. If I ever got to do that at any point, I would probably crap my pants.
Here's a good question for you. Mm-hmm. Would you rather play Augusta National one time or be able to go to the tournament for the rest of your life?
I'd rather play it.
You play it once?
Yeah.
I think I would too.
No, come on now.
Just be so cool.
See, and here's the reasoning. Here's my reasoning. I'd rather play it once and then be able to watch it on TV at home and actually see what happens instead of just sit there and be like, that looks like a pretty good shot.
Yeah.
I mean,
you're just fighting the crowd and stuff.
Yeah, the audience there is awesome. If you can give me a front row seat to every single shot while I'm there, cool. Then maybe, but nah, I'd rather play it. It would be the most average game of golf anybody I've probably ever seen at Augusta National because I am crap at golf. We already know this. In our friend group, Zach is one of the better players. I'd say it's between him and Fresh. Shout out Fresh.
I have the most experience, so that definitely has to do
Yes.
with it.
Plus, also, I don't need to shout out Fresh. Fresh will shout out his own golf game anyway. He knows he's good, which is awesome. You got to be confident in that sport. But anyway, off my tangent about Augusta National, how great it is and how much of a sports fandom I have for it. This week is awesome. It's something to watch. It's something to keep up with. It's probably the one golf tournament where I'll pretty much watch all 4 days. If it's other big golf tournaments, I'll probably watch Saturday and Sunday. But I'll keep up with the cut list because I just like to check it out. Right. But I don't think my
best sports app in sports apps, the Masters app, is the best sports app. You can watch any shot at any time. You can customize like which group, like you put people together and just watch their shots. Like if you haven't, I mean, we're not sponsored by the Masters app, obviously, but I would love
we can be
Masters reach out to us. But best app in sports. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off there.
No, you're good. So if we're going based on just all right, so let's I'll transition to my pick. Sorry, I wanted to get that out there. I do love the Masters. It is one of the best golf tournaments in the calendar. It's one of the best sporting events on the calendar.
For sure.
But my pick, which is also going to feed into my bet of the week, because I feel like it is a prevalent thing. So this is a little bit of a teaser for the next segment. Because I feel like if I'm going to talk about it, might as well bet about it, right?
Sure.
My pick is Victor Hovland.
Okay, I like Victor.
I feel like he's been pretty consistent this year. He's like 6th in the world right now. He's playing pretty good golf. I feel like last year, whenever I made my decision, before we had a podcast, it didn't go well. And I'm not going to talk about who it was, but I don't know. I have a feeling about Hovland. He's sparked my interest.
I like Victor. He has had a few good Masters showings. I think that's one of the biggest things that what it comes to with winning the Masters is it's such a tough course. The greens and the ball placement and everything is so tough. You can really get messed up and have some big scores if you don't put your ball exactly where you need to. And having that experience on the course is a necessity. Like there's probably only a handful of people that can actually win this tournament because of their experience with it. And Hovland's definitely up there and one of them. So I just kind of wanted to talk before. So yeah, love the pick. I like the Hovland pick. I just wanted to talk a little bit about the state of the top of golf right now for a second. So if you're picking anyone at the current moment to win except Scotty Scheffler is he's the closest to it's either him or the field that it's been since Tiger in his prime. Tiger in his prime, he was minus odds to win the Masters like that. Like, first of all, that's just ridiculous. There's 80 people that play in the Masters. So that's just absurd for him to be that. This is the closest that it's been since then. Scotty Scheffler is plus 450 to win the Masters. The next closest is I think plus 800. So if you're making any, there's no logical reason to pick anyone except Scotty Scheffler. That's how great he's been this year, how dominant he's been. He is by far the best player in the world right now. So there's no logical reason to pick anyone except for him. That being said, I don't operate on logic. So I'm going with I
operate on my feelings.
Exactly. I'm going with Tony Finau to win the Masters. He had a top 5 finish in 2019. He also had a top 10 finish in 2018. And he came into 4th in 2021. So he knows this course. He's had a few good finishes. He's famous for finishing 2nd in majors. He's never won a major. So I think that could be a good storyline for him to get his first major here. They call him Mr. Second because he's finished 2nd in majors so many times. I don't know if you gave out Hovland's odds, but plus 3,500 for Tony Finau to take home the green jacket and win the Masters. So I'm going with Mr. Tony Finau.
Hovland is also plus 3,500.
Okay, same odds.
Another person shout out that I love his game and I think he's a great golfer. Zalatoris. I think I think Willie Z is. I just love how he plays the game. He's a great golfer.
Yep, that's a good shout out as well. He's done pretty well at the Masters before as well. All right, so there we go. There is our 2024 Feelings Over Facts Masters picks. So now that we have done that, moving on to the most profitable segment in all of sports, Feelings Over Facts bets of the week. I will go ahead and go first with mine. I'm going with a game that tips off here in about 2 hours. I'm going Denver Nuggets minus 5.5 versus the Minnesota Timberwolves. Denver, I think it matches up. Is one of the best matchups for them is the Timberwolves. They can match up with their bigs. Karl Anthony Towns obviously is still out. So I like Denver minus 5.5 here. I think this is a win that they're really going to be trying to get some good energy going into the playoffs, and knowing that they might see the Timberwolves at some point in the playoffs. So I'm going Denver minus 5.5 here. I like that a lot. And then my other two are Premier League bets for this weekend. I am going with the Tottenham Hotspurs plus 135 to beat Newcastle. DJ, obviously an Arsenal fan, is booing. Tottenham is still in contention to get that number. They have to have a lot happen, but they're still in contention to get that last Champions League spot from Aston Villa. And they're not doing it unless they win a lot of games from here on out. So
I will also say there is a chance that with the new format for the Champions League next year, they are adding a 5th spot. So top 5 in the Prem has a chance to get the last one of the extra spots in the Champions League next year. So that's still a chance, even if they don't stay in 4th. Wanted to point that out. I don't know if you knew that because I didn't learn about that until like last week.
I did not know that. That's very interesting. Okay, well that makes the Tottenham and Man U fight for number 5 pretty interesting then, because Man U's pretty close to. They're like, I don't know, 8 points back. I guess that's not too close, but they're going to be battling it out for that spot. So I like
both Tottenham and Villa have 60. United has 49.
Okay, so I guess it's more of a battle for the 4th seed. But yeah, I like Spurs to beat Newcastle this weekend. And then my other pick is Nottingham Forest plus 115 to beat Wolves. Forest has been on kind of a roll. They have been chucking in goals left and right. And Wolves kind of struggled to score lately with some of their key attackers being hurt. So I like Nottingham Forest to take home the dub against Wolves plus 115. Those are my 3 bets of the week.
All righty. Well, like I said, one of my bets of the week is the Masters pick that I did because I walk it like I talk it.
There you go.
Indeed. So Victor Hovland winning the Masters outright, which is a massive plus odds, as we said earlier. And then another game starts. My next bet starts in 20 minutes. I picked the Bucks, who have, without Giannis today, are in plus odds against Orlando. So I have them at plus 105. Coming at tip off here soon. And then a game that is actively live right now, I have over on hits for Jackson Holiday, the number 1 prospect for the Baltimore Orioles, former son of his dad, played in the MLB for the Colorado Rockies and a number of other teams, Matt Holiday. Is getting his first MLB action today for the Baltimore Orioles. So I have his over on hits at 0.5 minus 170. I think it's just a great story. I looked at, the home run tonight, that it was like plus 600. I was like, yeah, that's probably not going to happen. It could happen, but that'd be like the most incredible, one of the most incredible MLB starts to a career if he did that. So, guy's unbelievable. He was number one pick in the draft not too long ago. He's 20 years old, already getting called up to the bigs. So I think he gets his first hit tonight at least. And those are my three bets of the week.
All right, fair enough. I like it. I think our first MLB bet that we've done here on the pod, which is fun. All right, DJ, why don't you go ahead and take us home with your feeling of the week?
Well, all right, feeling of the week. It's almost summertime, and I don't know about you, Zach, but when it's summertime and it's hot outside, nothing beats the heat than a lime margarita. That's my feeling of the week.
Is that actually your feeling of the week?
It's my feeling of the week.
All right, fair enough. I mean, I can't say I disagree, but all right, respect. All right, lime margaritas. My feeling of the week is a little bit different. My feeling of the week is that Liverpool are going to win the Premier League. I know DJ's not going to like that as well because Arsenal are heavily in contention, but I think that they're really just going to be going all out. Like, this is Klopp's last season. Probably Salah is going to leave after this season as well. It's really the end of
probably Van Dijk as well.
Yeah, it's really the end of an era for Liverpool, and I think that they want to go out on a high note and win the Premier League, and they're just going to be playing just out of their minds here near the end of the season, trying their darndest to win the Premier League. So I think that's my feeling of the week, is that they are going to win the Prem. All right. Thank you all for joining us once again. If you're not yet subscribed to us on YouTube, head over there and give us a subscribe, as well as give us a follow on Instagram and TikTok. From the Feelings Over Facts podcast, I'm your co-host, Zach Simmons. He is my co-host, Daniel Jones, a.k.a. DJ.
Shad said good stuff, Zach, in the chat.
Heck yeah. Good morning and good night.
Tell somebody you love them.